Council Chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey, and that adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morris County Daily Record, the official newspaper of the town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago, and posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the town clerk of the town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. Take a roll call. With any luck. Sorry. Okay. Councilman Armington?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis?
Here.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Here.
Councilman Elms?
Present.
Councilman Iannacone?
Here.
Councilman Silva?
Here.
And Council President Foster.
Here.
Council President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence, followed by the rise and stand of Pledge of Allegiance.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have 8 items on the consent agenda this evening. Unless someone would like to pull one for individual discussion, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open it up for our public hearing. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard tonight, please come before us, state your name, address, and keep your comments down to 5 minutes or less. Right here, in front of the right.
My name is Sandra Persichetti, and I live 2 doors away at 2
Last name, Sandra?
Persichetti, P like Peter, Ersichetti.
And you live at?
2 doors away at 2 Hamilton.
Thank you.
Okay. I am a walker, and I walk in all kinds of weather. And the last rainstorm was horrific for me to get from my apartment to the soup kitchen where I do a lot of volunteer work. It doesn't have to be the kind of a rainstorm that we had, I think it was a week ago Monday. I've looked at your storm drainage along South Street. You have 2 storm drains on South at the corners of Pine and South, and 4 at the corner of Elm and South. There are no storm drains from Hamilton all the way down to the Green. I'm not an engineer, but I will tell you that the runoff from the impervious surface that you have allowed to be built on South Street is unacceptable. The concrete paving that went on in front of King's, in front of Walgreens, in front of Rite Aid, I think some of the buildings on South Street even have their storm drains going onto the street. You can see the pipes entering the curb. The water that builds up on South, first of all, it's sheet flow coming out of the driveway from the police driveway here on the far side of the building, from the former Mexican restaurant, from all of these concrete paved areas. The water goes into the roadway 4 to 5 feet. Cars, as you know, don't go the speed limit on South Street. They go as if they're on 287. I got to the soup kitchen. I was drenched from my thigh to my shoes, literally had to take my shoes and socks off, put them in the dryer there before I could stand and do my time of volunteer work. I don't know whether you're against engineers, whether you've never had storm drainage issues in the past, whether you don't think about it, but I would suggest you start thinking about it because it's totally unacceptable for people who walk in this town, and this is a great walking town. So I'd really like a response to why there are so few storm drains on South Street.
Thank you.
You have to wait till the public session's over, then we'll respond.
Any other members of the public wishing to be heard?
Hi, good evening. My name is John Doherty, live at 69 Morris Avenue in Washington Headquarters District, relatively new member of Morristown. Appreciate everything that you guys do. I'm here with a number of my neighbors to talk about the traffic on Morris Avenue. Unfortunately, fortunately, the speed limit is 25. Unfortunately, folks tend to average well above that, certainly north of 40 miles an hour. We also like to walk our dogs, live in a community where we want to be generally safe. Entering and exiting our driveway is sometimes a challenge because of the high rate of speed that folks travel in that area. My wife, she certainly can speak for herself, recently had a dog get off the leash, and there was almost an accident because of the speed that the cars travel on that road. I also have a 17-year-old daughter who is a relatively new driver, and while she is a good driver, proud of her, she is a 17-year-old that's still in a provisional period, and coming in and out of the driveway can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. We just tell her, wait, make sure nobody's coming, because judging somebody coming at 25 is different than judging somebody that's coming at 40 and even, quite frankly, well north of that. We do appreciate there is sometimes a police presence, and they do give out tickets, but quite frankly, don't think it's nearly enough. Certainly could be something that pays for itself, given it's constant. So with that, I appreciate having the opportunity to address you and turn it over to my wife.
Good evening. My name's Kim Doherty, 69 Morris Avenue. I walk my dog 4 times a day. Crossing the street has its challenges because you have to seriously wait until you make visual eye contact with someone, knowing that they're definitely going to stop at the crosswalk. And then the car next to them, if they don't go around them, is going to stop. So it's a challenge. And until you get the visual confirmation, then you can actually cross. So the other day, walking my dog, she got out of my hand. Thank God it was early in the morning, and it was Easter Sunday, and there weren't that many people on the road. But had it been a normal, regular day, I would have run out into the road just like anybody else would after their dog, and I probably wouldn't be standing here today. That's the truth. Because at any hour, at any time of the day, any day of the week, people average at over 40, 45 miles an hour. I can hear them coming. So, and then I'm always making, when I'm picking up the poop, making sure somebody's not distracted driving. Because if they are, and, distracted driving all over the place, and it's very, very dangerous. And I think, I appreciate the police officers that when they are there, they do issue tickets, but when they're not there, it's like free-for-all. From leaving I guess it's Ford and Morris Street, that traffic light to the next traffic light is about 1 mile, if you're staying next to the Westin. And from that traffic, from Ford to Morris Street to the next traffic light is at Normandy. And that's well over 2.5 miles. It's just a straightaway. So there is really no reason for them to stop. So exiting and, like my husband said, exiting and entering our driveway, I have to put on my hazards. If someone's tailing me and they want to catch up and go as fast as they want, I have to put on my hazards in order to get in my driveway. So, it just really needs to be addressed. I don't know what the solution is, but we thought we'd bring it before you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm going to piggyback off of them and talk about the same issue. It's Casey Martinez, 16 Harding Terrace. We just moved in here about 2 years ago. And actually, this has been a subject on the Nextdoor app. And yesterday, I was walking my kids, a 2- and a 4-year-old in a stroller. And so how Morris Avenue is it's a 2-lane road one way. So if someone stops for you, you can start, walking with your stroller. Well, people get off 287. They think it's like an extension of the highway. 6 cars went past the car that stopped for me and went past us. And I'm a nice person, but I'm screaming at these cars, do something, the other car's beeping. One of them was an ambulance. It wasn't Morristown. They didn't have their lights on, but people were passing. I don't know if they thought the car was stopped because of a hazard, but it's a crosswalk. So I used to live in Arizona, and I was thinking of what we could do as a solution. I know that, speed bumps are usually not the way to go because of plows or hospital access. But in Arizona, we have something where you press a button and there's lights that turn on so the cars can stop. I don't know if that's something that would be possible. I know there's 2 crosswalks on Morris Ave. But for me to have kids, I'm not on Morris Avenue like they are, but I'm in Harding Terrace, and when we walk out, the cars fly. I know that there was a cat ran over 2 weeks ago because they're going so fast. There was, I think, a dog was hit. It's bad. But for me, when I'm crossing and someone gives me the okay to go, and then it's really not okay to go because it's a 2-way street, it's dangerous. It becomes, a big hazard. So I'm not sure, again, what the solution is. I just wanted to come here and let you know that it's definitely been a problem the last 2 years, especially on Halloween. That was a problem, which you would think kids trick-or-treating, people would slow down, and they did not. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what, I'm sure you guys have been on the Nextdoor app and people are outraged. But this happened yesterday, so I'm like, I have to go and tell them because I was so upset. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Brock Mason, 19 Morris Ave, and basically just want to piggyback off of them. 19 Morris Ave, the speeding is just at a point where it's just way too much. I don't know what needs to happen in the sense that when people get off of 287 or when they go over 287 right past the Ford Mansion, there needs to be some sort of mindset shift, maybe a visual cue, something that we could possibly do to slow down the traffic. So also our mailman, every single day, he tries to cross at the crosswalk, and it's really hard for him to cross. Today he was trying to cross, and he basically had one car stop, and then the other cars just fly right by him. So basically just wanted to kind of put it on public record that many of us are kind of unhappy and would like to see if we could address it a little further and see what we could do about it. But like was said also, when the police officers are there, it gets rid of the problem real quick, but the second they leave, the speeding starts. And there's actually a sign that gives the speed limit, but the thing only goes up to 40 miles an hour. People fly by that thing and it tops out at 40, and it's a common occurrence. So just wanted to put it out there and see if we could address it. So thanks for your time, I appreciate it.
Jill Mandura, 19 Morris Ave. I will echo.
Name again?
I'm sorry, Mandura, Mandura. And I'll just echo the everything that's been said on Morris Ave. There's just a real issue. We moved in a couple years ago. We knew it was a busy street, but it's now just an unsafe street. I witnessed my neighbors with kids, with dogs, walking, and it's incessant. It's constant where you can't enter the crosswalk without really being the one to gauge whether or not it's safe. The cars don't stop. If they do, it's one lane, the others fly by. People are constantly, passing. Pulling into my driveway, same issue, that Lisa has and anybody else on Morris Ave, where, I put my blinker on probably about a half mile out and just to let people know, and then, I'm slowing down to turn into my driveway, I get honked at, flying by, it's crazy. I also work in town. This is not, an isolated Morris Ave sort of issue. I walk down South Street every day to lunch from Catano. There's crosswalks there. There's crosswalks every 20 feet there. Same issue. People are the speeding in our town has become a real problem. And I think now is the time to address it, whatever we decide as a group, as a community. I think we need to address it now before somebody really gets hurt, other than the animals. So thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Christopher Wilson. I live at 2 Tiffany Road, and I have a little different perspective. I've actually lived on Tiffany for 9 years, and so I've seen the road change. We've made some improvements. We went from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. We've seen different signage. We've seen the speed limit sign that's there as well, but frankly, what I've noticed recently is that the speeding has picked up. So a couple of thoughts. We need more speed notification. I mean, as the gentleman mentioned, we have one. It's quasi at the beginning of Morris. And then actually, if you really think about it, people tend to speed up as they go further and further up Morris. And generally, they don't recognize how fast they're going, perhaps. Sidewalk signage, where we are at Tiffany and Morris, there are those signs that say at the crosswalk where you can cross and you're supposed to stop. There are supposed to be those signs at every sidewalk. But as the woman mentioned before, or the gentleman mentioned before about the postmen, that sidewalk, for some reason, those are gone. They've been gone for a while. Then I believe there's some down further by the church as well. So I think those could help. I still don't understand why commercial traffic is allowed on that road. For a couple of reasons. From a common sense standpoint, I don't understand it. Why someone would go there, and I'm thinking specifically of the community coach bus, which is probably the most notorious speeding vehicle on that road, and they come on a rather standard basis. So you have this empty bus going at least 35, perhaps 40 miles per hour, going through multiple lights to get to the Livingston Mall. And I know that's where they go because I followed him one time, trying to stay up with him. But I don't understand why they wouldn't get onto 287, onto 24, and then off in Columbia Turnpike. Why come through a busy residential area? And I understand it's a county road, and we do need emergency vehicles to have access to it. But why isn't there a weight limit? Or why isn't there why aren't we prohibiting commercial vehicles on that road? We deal a lot with wrong-way drivers. We have a all-American dog who's 9 years old from St. Hubert's, who literally knows when there's a car going the wrong way. That's how we generally find out, because the dog starts barking like crazy as we watch the car go the wrong way. I don't know if there's an answer to that, but it's very noticeable and something unique about that street. And the last thing I'd point out is there's been a lot of work done on Washington Ave, which runs parallel to Morris. And I think the calming work there could be somewhat replicated on Morris. I understand you can't put speed bumps. We're not asking for that. But this issue really needs to be addressed. And we appreciate you looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Peter Seifert, 17 Morris Avenue. I'm just going to echo a couple of the comments of my neighbors. I think the gentleman that just went before me really kind of nailed the situation and kind of the key culprits and some of the key issues. First and foremost, I've been in the neighborhood for over 20 years, so worked very closely with the council and with the county, bringing into place, the narrowing of the road, bringing down the speed limit from 40 to 25, putting in a lot of those traffic calming issues. But I don't remember during any of those discussions and planning that there was a trade-off of, we'll put in this radar speed sign, but the police won't sit there and ticket people anymore. Now, lately I've noticed the police have been back a little bit more, but there was a long period of time where they weren't there at all. And they are the most effective, without a doubt. Couple really easy fixes while we think about this in bigger terms. There's a couple really easy fixes, I think, right now. A couple of my neighbors mentioned it. The radar sign that is in place right now, it either needs to be adjusted or maybe updated. If a car goes 41 miles an hour, all you see is a blinking little white dot in the middle of the sign. Some of the cars are going so fast that they don't even notice that. There's nothing else that's going on in there. Sometimes it doesn't blink at all. Sometimes it's just a steady white light, and it's about as big as I'm making with my finger. So pretty ineffective. I've seen other ones where the speed, even if you go over 40, it still shows the speed that you're going. It's flashing, but it also has the strobe lights around it. I've seen other ones that also kind of have strobes around the frame of the sign. So maybe it's something as simple as maybe it's just an adjustment or a tuning to the sign that's there, or maybe a small upgrade. The other neighbor talked about the pedestrian walk signs, crosswalk signs. They are extremely effective. I can tell in my house, and I'm kind of the first house in the neighborhood right by Washington's headquarters in the church, I can tell when those signs have been moved for plowing or street cleaning or debris pickup. I walk my dog every single night, so I go back and I put them back in place. It makes a huge difference, those stop walk signs. Currently, we are down 2 signs. There's a crosswalk in between, I guess it's Harding Road and Morris Avenue. We're missing those. We have the 2 up by the church and 2 down by Tiffany. Those are just some really easy, kind of low-hanging fruit fixes that we could put in place. They're very effective. I think if we had a better sign and we had the crosswalks and a little bit better police presence, that would be great. I agree that the community coach is the biggest culprit. And during rush hour, I don't know how many buses go down there per hour. It's at least 2 or 3, and they are barreling down there. And other cars see the bus flying down there, and they just follow along. So they are definitely the biggest culprit. But I also agree it's probably a conversation that we would like to have and talk about other solutions longer term. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard?
Hi, my name is Trish Grushkin. I live on the corner of Farragut and McCullough Avenue. Grushkin.
Rushkin?
Can you spell it, please? Grushkin. So I've lived on the corner of Farragut and McCullough for almost 14 years, and I could only describe McCullough Avenue as a raceway. In the course of the 14 years that I've lived there, I've seen myself personally more than 6 serious traffic accidents, some of which have involved drunk driving, but I would say all of which have involved speeding. I have small children, and I cannot let them cross the road to go into town by themselves. I have an almost 14-year-old, because nobody stops for the pedestrians, the pedestrian crosswalk. I mean, when I say nobody, I would say probably 50% of the time people don't stop. And that's a huge hazard when you have small children. The other issue that we have is the traffic, because people use McCullough as a cut-through to bypass town. During rush hour in the morning and in the evening, the traffic gets backed up, both going down toward James Street and going down toward Mount Kimball. Particularly with the traffic going down toward Mount Kimball, when it gets backed up as far as Farragut Place, which is a one-way street going in the direction of McCullough Avenue, people decide that it's fair game to go down Farragut Place in the wrong direction, and they do it at speed in the hope that they do not get nabbed doing it. And that then hooks them up with Collis, where they can then hook up with Mount Kimball. And it is happening on an increasingly regular basis. I don't spend a lot of time at the front of my house because my kitchen is at the back, but I would say that invariably in the summer, if I'm out at the front of my house for any period of time, I will see at least one car going down Farragut in the wrong direction. And there are approximately a dozen children living on Farragut Place. They cannot play in the street safely. They cannot cross the street safely. And I asked the question, what will it take before some effective oversight of the raceway that is McCullough Avenue before something is done? Does somebody have to get knocked down? God forbid, does it involve an accident with a child? And, at this stage, I'm not quite sure what to expect, because we have raised the issue at several meetings over the course of the time that we've been here to try and request some traffic calming measures on McCullough. And occasionally we have had some police presence there where they have put up the digital sign that tells people that they are going above the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. I mean, I've seen when that sign is up, people coming up the brow of the hill at 50+ miles an hour, which is double the speed limit. And people do get occasionally ticketed, but it's not known as a speed trap, unlike some other areas around town. And so people feel they have free rein to zip up and down that street. It's a particular problem during the work week. It is much less of an issue on Saturdays and Sundays, which says to me that the bulk of the issue arises from people using it as a way of getting through Morristown, not necessarily to and from places within Morristown. So that's really my fundamental issue. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. The gentleman right there. All right, did you have your hand up?
My name is Joseph Nosofsky. I live at 98 Washington Avenue.
Can you spell your last name?
Nosof, like Frank, SKY. I've lived in my house for 24 years. I saw the notice about the meeting tonight and sort of had forgotten about it. And then I got out, I was walking my dog at 7:30 and saw somebody speed by the corner of my house. Not just speed, probably going 50 miles an hour after a stop sign. And it refreshed my memory. And ordinarily, I mean, it's infuriating. I don't know any other way to say it. The issue about speeding on Washington Avenue has been raised probably for like the past 20 years. And some efforts were undertaken by the neighborhood to, quote, calm traffic. And I don't think it did a hell of a lot of good. If anything, there were bump outs that were put in, and the roads are still a mess, and people still speed. And I don't know what it will take for the town to do something to stop speeding in the town. There's got to be, I mean, this isn't rocket science. Put speed bumps in all over town, raise the speeding fines in the town to something so excessive that somebody that gets a ticket will never speed again in the town, and they will tell everybody not to speed in the town. I mean, I'm sort of aghast. That's the only thing I can say. Something needs to be done to stop the speeding in the town. And people in the neighborhoods need to encourage each other to not speed in their neighborhoods, to abide by the speed limits so that, you know, they encourage people to go by, follow the speed limits. I'm just so, as I say, aghast that something so simple is so hard to regulate. So, and I'm not a big fan of regulation, but this is one thing that needs really to be taken care of before something really bad happens in the town. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Hi. Robert Lahoda, 80 Washington Avenue.
Can you spell your last name?
Lahoda. I knew that was coming. So I just want to kind of follow up there on Washington Avenue. We did a lot of traffic calming efforts, not necessarily calming, and they're partially complete. So the road hasn't been repaved. It still has a faded yellow stripe, which I understand will be replaced. I think on Washington Ave, the yellow stripe is a big contributor, I think, to the speed, because it gives you a sense of what people feel the road should be, which is a thoroughfare to drive to get from one side of the town to the other. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is it's not just the speeding. So the people that are driving responsibly at the speed limit, like myself, on my street, we get people behind us, and they're aggressive. They're rolling up behind 2 or 3 feet, lights on, and it's dangerous. So eventually, there's going to be a road rage issue. Aside from just, I'm now going to turn off into my driveway with a car 3 feet behind me. So that's just added danger, and I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Sure, you can come before us.
I'm Pam Hasegawa, Hasegawa, and my husband and I have lived on Hill Street for 42 years. And it's been, I've felt anxious about the speed that cars use on Hill Street. Someone told me a long time ago that it was originally a cow path that then became a road, and I believe it because when you go onto Hill from Elm, you kind of wind your way up, curve a little bit, and there's one particular place that I have a concern. It's related to speeding, but it's about parking. Very often at the corner of Franklin Place and Hill Street, there will be a large car, like an SUV. And I used to come down Franklin Place and make a left on Hill to get to my house. But so many times there has been a large vehicle there that I can't see at all if anybody's coming up Hill Street. So that's one thing I would like to see changed, is to just have that first spot designated for, it sounds crazy, but for sedans, not for SUVs where you don't have a chance of seeing if someone's racing up Hill Street. I think a speed bump somewhere in that section of Hill Street between Franklin Place and Elm Street would help slow things down, because I'm really surprised at how many cars go 40 miles an hour or over on Hill Street. And it's parking on two sides and the street's not big enough for all that. So if two cars are going, and I don't know if there's ever been an accident there. I heard a car get smashed a lot of years ago at night when somebody was speeding, but that's my concern for our little two-block street. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard? Sure, you can come before us now. It's fine.
I'm Richard Ray, 30 Knollwood Road in Morristown. We have our share
I'm sorry, I missed your name. I'm sorry.
Richard Ray, R-A-Y,
And your street address?
30 Knollwood Road in Morristown. And we have our share of speeding and parking problems in my neighborhood, but for the benefit of the folks on Morris Avenue, I travel that road every day to work, and I very carefully observe the speed limit at 25 miles an hour, so much so that I know that the flashing sign there is exactly 1 mile per hour off what my speedometer tells me. But I have traffic that piles up behind me, rather impatient, and traffic that speeds by me on the opposite lane. So I can tell that there's a speeding issue there as well, and just so I say, for the benefit of those neighbors there. And it seems to me that when there's a police presence there, that slows people down. And that's probably the most immediate solution, it seems to me, to that situation there. Police officer in a car slows the traffic down. But it's a constant problem. I've traveled that route for years, and virtually every day. If there's not a police car there, people are speeding on that road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any more hands, so does that mean this concludes the public hearing? All righty, at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing, and we'll move on to council responses from the public hearing portion. Starting with, we'll go from Allison and make our way around, if you have any comments.
Well, thank you all for coming out. I appreciate all your comments and took notes of all the 13 people that came out. I noticed that we do have a problem with traffic, and I guess in some ways, traffic can be a good thing, right? We have a vibrant town, we have a business center, and we have a lot of activity. And as we continue to develop more and more, we bring more and more traffic to the town. On the flip side, speeding is not a good thing on streets that are marked for 25 miles an hour and someone's going 45 or 50. That's never good. I think the purpose of local government is to control the traffic and to regulate the traffic. I know I heard someone say they're not a big fan of regulation, but I think one of the purposes of a local municipal body is to regulate the traffic and to control it. And public safety is our #1 concern. So I think when I hear things like children and dogs and people at risk and can't cross the street, that's a sign that something's not right and that we have to do better. So I would really like to see the results from the $1,000 traffic study that we have done. I would like to have a copy of the data from that study. I've requested it. I'd like to see some analysis from the administration on what we're going to do about stated traffic intersections, such as the one at DeHart and South, such as the one at Franklin and Elm, and speeding on Morris and some of the other issues like speeding on McCullough, because like someone said, we've heard this over and over before, and it's not going away. So I think that there were some great solutions that I heard, increasing police presence, perhaps traffic calming measures, and in the past that I've noticed that we've done in the last 10 years, that we institute a traffic study, and that's kind of or a traffic survey, and that's the first step that we initiate to do that kind of starts the ball rolling. So I would suggest that we maybe that could be one of the solutions, but I feel strongly about this issue, and I want to thank you all for coming out, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. But I do think that this is an administrative issue, and it needs to be addressed, and we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on traffic calming and traffic solutions, and I would like to see the data to see how it's working or how it's not working for us.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments from council?
Yes. Thank you to all the residents who came out. Thanks for taking time out of your evening to express your concerns. I think we're all familiar with all the streets in Morristown and all the areas that are the hot spots and the real trouble spots. One thing that I thought was very concerning was Ms. Grishkin saying that people were intentionally going the wrong way down Farragut. I would think that would be something that someone would do accidentally, but to do it intentionally is outrageous. So I'd definitely like to look into that. One thing that I know that Morris Township has done in the past is they take an old police car, a car that's maybe out of service, and they leave it on the road for a week or 2 weeks, and that seems to do a pretty good job. So I'd ask the administration if we have a car that's sitting in the back of the lot that maybe isn't being used, maybe we could use that technique. But again, thank you everybody for coming out.
First, just let me say, this administration has done a lot with reference to traffic, and a lot with reference to pedestrian safety. In fact, I don't think we should come out of this meeting and not recognize, for example, last year, big push with funding from the state for pedestrian safety. They've done a lot. And in fact, Jillian's aware of the signs, and you ordered the new signs for the crosswalks. I know that. So there's been a lot done, and there is a traffic study, timing of the lights. There's a lot going on. But I think the underlying theme that we're hearing tonight really is police enforcement. Okay, it is police enforcement. And some of that may be our fault, okay, because it may be our fault to the degree that you don't want to be that town with the reputation of a lot of tickets, But then again, there's a balance that we have to play here. And I was saying to Margot and a few other people, there's not a kid in our town that knows they can't drive on Route 24 in Mendham, for example. I'm going to regret saying that probably. But they know that if you're young and you drive on 24 in Mendham, you're going to get in trouble, okay, by hook or crook. We used to have that reputation with reference to Morris Avenue. Morris Avenue, when I was a 20-something driving around in town, I have the 2 or 3 tickets to prove it, okay? All right? Back then, and I've been in town 34 years, so it was a long time ago. I don't do it now. But it's an easy road to speed on. I think there's other roads like that, and I think the town is aware of those. I think what we've got to do is kind of give the nod to the town that it is okay to ticket. But one thing we've got to promise back to the town is that we're not going to complain about those tickets. When our neighbors start calling us or when we get one of those tickets, okay, we're not going to say, oh, get me off on this ticket, or give the council or the mayor a hard time or the administration a hard time about the ticketing in town. We're asking for enforcement, but be well aware that the other side of that enforcement is we all got to be tolerant of the fact that enforcement's got to be fair, it's got to be equal, and includes all of us. All right? But I do think that the suggestions that were outlined tonight were outlined very, very clearly. I think we've got it. I don't think it bears repeating, but I do think that the most effective way is actually police enforcement, and I think that message was pretty clear. Thank you.
I have two quick questions. I guess I want to better understand when one of the residents, I think it was Mr. Mason, who said the stop sign, it tops out at 40 miles per hour. So how does that correlate to like drivers, you know, that are coming down? Does it mean it just stops and I can speed, or, yeah, I don't know how the stop sign works. It just blinks. And then, so my other question would be, has there been a traffic study on Morris? I would assume that if we've already made some type of traffic calming, that we've already done traffic studies, or have we done any counts or?
Over the years, I don't know, plenty. As it was stated earlier, I'll wait till it's my turn.
Right. I mean, I just don't want it to go on record that, you know, we've come up with some type of solutions, but the solutions have not worked. And so obviously we had to have done some things that have kind of calmed it, but, you know, if it's worth revisiting.
I'll talk about it when it comes to my turn to speak.
Okay. So that was it for me. But I thank the residents for coming out to express your issues and concerns, and I'm sure that the administration has heard you all, and I'm sure that, you know, we'll try to come to whatever solutions we can to that will kind of ease it, you know, for the people, pedestrians and residents that are passing through that area.
Is there not a weight limit that we could kind of put in place just for commercial vehicles?
It's county road. No,
I'm sorry.
It's a county road.
I know
county road.
Well, when you come off 287 and you're going up Abbott, is Abbott Avenue a town road?
Town road.
That's a town road.
Because, you know, that happens a lot. Like she said, you know, they come off the highway.
Restrictions on Abbott Avenue.
Yes, I think there's
Abbott's a truck
sign,
route, but you have to
yeah.
turn
Truck
right
route, you
on
have to turn-
MLK.
Right, you can't turn left. That's a town
That's
road.
since the traffic study.
The traffic study doesn't equate Abbott Avenue. The traffic study was all the intersections.
Well, I'm just saying, because I see, like, commercial vehicles come up Abbott Avenue.
They can, but they have to turn right at the top.
They have to turn right at the top.
Can't go left.
I didn't realize that.
So the question is not, I'm going to make a negative question. It's not possible to make the bus go through 287 and 24?
To get the what? The bus?
The bus, the coach
It's
bus.
not our bus.
But
So one of the things I'll clear up when it gets to my turn, so when you follow the bus to Livingston, it's not our bus. So just to make that clear to the public, it's a commuter bus. That's not the Colonial Coach. The Colonial Coach doesn't go to Livingston Mall. It's not our bus.
That's a commuter bus into Manhattan.
Talking about the community
Yeah.
coach,
Manhattan
which is a
or-
community.
Community
Livingston.
Coach is a different bus.
No,
It's not our
that's-
bus.
They mean
Colonial
commuter,
Coach.
because know what Mayor, because it's
I know.
community bus lines.
I know what it says. I just
It's not-
wanted to
but
make
it-
sure that
you're
was
right, absolutely
clear
right. It's not our bus.
with the residents that is not our Morristown driver driving the
all
Colonial
we need.
Coach. Because that she wouldn't be driving the Colonial Coach very long.
All our seniors on
They
it.
just go around town.
That it?
that's it.
All right. Obviously, Morris Avenue has been something we've been dealing with even when I was a councilman back in 2001. Worked with Rebecca Feldman to get that lane, to get it shrunken down and to make changes with the county. I think one of the things I want to talk before I talk about some of the things we could do and some of the things that the council should look forward to in this budget is Bob and I had met already. Stefan, I think, was in the meeting with the county. The traffic study we have done shows us the data of how many cars are actually coming into town and going right through town and going out of town from 287 from all different areas. And what we've talked about briefly, and we're going to try to expand with the two council members helping, is starting to look regionally at how our traffic is moving. So the amount of buildings that are being built from Florham Park all the way up is adding a lot of our traffic to the western parts of the county, whether they're going out towards our neighborhood, which is on Wetmore by Farragut, or they're going all the way down Morris to Lafayette and up and out through Sussex. It's clearly increased the amount of cars. That's the first thing. It clearly has increased the amount of cars that now are entering and exiting Morristown. Not necessarily a bad thing, but that's the growth. They're not building, suburbia is building out from us, and that's where the cars are going to, that are going to work in other areas east of us. Second thing is, as much as I wish I had, I don't have control over dictating to the police chief when and where and how much enforcement gets done. He knows about me as for nauseum, how many times I call him about traffic, and the captain's sitting right here. I complain every day about traffic and about speeding and about Morris Avenue. And I will echo the thoughts of something Bob just said. We have gotten calls from residents that gotten tickets on Morris Avenue, and I know it's frustrating because people live in the neighborhood and they don't want to get tickets. And the police try to do the right thing. They try to be sensible. But, you know, there was something that was said publicly, and it got back to me, that the mayor's office doesn't want any zero tolerance when it comes to speeding on Morris Avenue. And speeding anywhere, zero tolerance. If you speed, you get a ticket. But the police have to weigh, I'm not talking for the police, but they have to weigh that balance when it's a resident or, you know, a first-time younger person, you know, getting a ticket. Now, I'll end on this subject with Morris Avenue. There are certain things we can do. Easy fixes, like two of the gentlemen came up and said a number of the easy fixes. We will again push the police department into enforcement, but random, not every Tuesday at the same time. Do it in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Do it on a Friday morning. Do it on the weekends probably aren't as bad because you don't have as much vehicular traffic as during the week. It's not, I think, a big lift, but because it's quasi-military, I do not have the power to dictate how the chief runs his police department. However, there's a caveat to this, why I'm saying that coming up. I'll briefly touch on Washington Avenue. The road is finally finished. It is getting paved this summer. I think we should relook at some of the traffic calming measures that were not implemented that we wanted to do that would benefit Washington Avenue. A majority of the residents wanted these things, but a number of residents didn't. So it kind of got, I'll use this word, dummied down. And I think if we are able to implement some of the things that we want to do on Washington Ave, will help with the traffic. But when you have 50 people in a room and 35 people want it and 20 don't want it, or 15 don't want it, it doesn't, I did the math, it seems to go, and that's what happens. So I think we need, and Bob, Mr. Anacorn, as you're the member of the First Ward, I think we should relook at some of the issues before that road gets paved this summer about doing some more things on Washington Avenue to help with the traffic movement. That's just my opinion. There were some good ideas that were not implemented because some members of that street didn't want it. So I think we need to look at that.
But the yellow line is going away.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that you don't want someone thinking that's a speedway because it's the yellow line. Now, Morris Avenue is a tough, it's not tough, it can be done. I know the captain's sitting here and he's gonna have to report back, but we will again sit down and talk about, and we don't mind paying a little overtime to do random, you know, and so they don't know when there's a cop gonna be there. I don't know why they don't do the police car, Councilman Elms. It's something we've talked about over the years. I don't know, the chief will have to answer that, why they don't put you're the acting chief, maybe I won't put you on the spot. All right, let's talk about, well, enforcement, yes. Different things we can do, the simple fixes, yes. Farragut I didn't know about, and I didn't forget the engineering question either, so I'll get to you. Farragut I didn't know about. I do catch people going up one way the wrong way on DeHart, but sometimes I think they don't realize it's a one way. People don't pay attention. I swear, if it wasn't for John Hanson grabbing me by a jacket one day, I was stepping off on South Street, I would have got clipped. He just grabbed me. The person never lifted their head as they went through the intersection until they saw what happened and they went, oh my God. People just don't pay attention. They're texting, they're so in a rush. The world we live in today is different. So we as pedestrians, and my wife and I walk all over town, we live 2 blocks from town, you have to be more conscious of the driver because they just don't pay attention. I tell people in the crosswalks all the time, I see people stuck in the middle of the street because one side stopped and they're trying to get across. The other cars are just keep going. And I see it down by the train station all the time. We talked about implementing lights in the crosswalks from the ground up that flash when there's a pedestrian walking. There are cities in this country that do things like that. There's innovative ways we can really implement state-of-the-art technology into how we deal with traffic and calming, so the driver sees that they're in an area where there's people and there's homes. So you're not forgotten. We hear you. We have heard you. I've been hearing it since I was a councilman. And it's so happy to see so many new residents in Morristown that you're investing in our community. So we will in turn invest back into what you need into your neighborhood to make sure that you're safe and you feel secure and that you feel happy in the investment that you made in Morristown. Now, yes. So those buildings where you talked about Rite Aid and stuff, I remember in the Hamilton there 30 years ago when I used to go there for breakfast. Those buildings and sidewalks were always wide. Now, is our engineer here? Yes. So the first thing I'm going to tell is our engineer to give us a study, give us a look at what the drainage is from the state road. It's a state road. How do they have it drained? What is the procedure for putting more wells in or making it the drainage better? I know we have the complaint on the corner of James and South constantly. I tell you right now, when I was a councilman, I argued for them to put in a well there, a pit, to catch that water on the corners. Everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The next day, they paved. When you're a local municipality trying to deal, Anthony has to deal with the state all the time on different issues. Everybody drives Speedwell Avenue.
It's crazy.
Bump, 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 bump. State road, right? I was with the governor yesterday and made a complaint. I noticed DOT was out there patching holes today. Not us, because we do it. Your tax dollars, and this was my argument, our tax dollars are fixing state roads. It's not right. We're paying the tax for the state to keep the roads right. That's supposed to be paved in 2019, but DOT was out there. I saw them with trucks out there on 202 patching. So we're getting through. It's a new administration. We're getting through, and things are getting done. Now, in this upcoming, finish with you. I don't know. I'm not a climate expert. I watch climate all over the country and disasters. I watch floods everywhere. I watch rain that I've never seen rain come down the way it comes down. I see flood areas that I've never seen flooded in Morristown. The amount of rain that comes down at a very short period of time is immense. That is clearly a factor in the floods and how these streets are. Clearly. The streets are designed, and I know a little bit about engineering, the streets are designed and sewage lines are designed and water basins are designed years ago on how much flow and how much, how it's all calculated. Clearly, there's been a change in how much snow, rain we get in intense periods of time. So I will have our engineer and our team look at the state. They have all the information. They will look at how it's laid out and then get with the state. We'll get back to you. You just email me and I'll have the engineer give you a report on if there's a way we can make it better and then get the state involved in how they can make it better. But it's a state road, so that's where we got to start first. We got to look at what we have and then deal with the state on if we need to make fixes to make it better. So it's not going on deaf ears. And I appreciate you bringing it up. Now, you're going to have a budget address tonight, so I hope you stick around. I did have a speech that'll last about 15 minutes.
Mayor,
There is money.
can
Can I finish?
are you finished with going into something else? Because I wanted to comment on what
Well,
you said
let's hear
about the
from-
traffic.
Let the mayor finish, and then if you have something additional. you
Yeah,
can
I
add,
just
then we'll
wanted to
bounce it
comment
to
on
you.
something he said about the.
Okay, so in the budget, there's more money than in the police budget, and police and fire, for us to start to look at maybe this town, because of things like this, because of the increased traffic from all over the county, from all over the building, all over the county. Has anybody driven Hanover Road lately? You can't move on Hanover Road.
That's right.
It's completely choked out, and they're building another big complex over there. So a lot of that traffic is coming through us because they don't want to go up Hanover Avenue. They need more exits on 287. They need so many fixes. So maybe it's time that we look at a global look at our safety, our public safety, not our crime, but our public safety, our schools, our traffic, or speeding, all the issues that are outside the norm. I mean, it's public safety, but maybe we have somebody that is very knowledgeable and understands programming on how to start to integrate technology and how to do things on a more global look as far as safety. And I think speeding and that is public safety. I think it falls under public safety. I think it's important. So we're looking at, is it time now we maybe look at a public safety director in our OEM, operations of emergency management, our police, and our fire. And it's something that we as administration have talked about and looked about over the last couple of years, and maybe it's time, especially with the added, what's going on countywide. Maybe we need to have that fix. So we'll talk about it as we go through the budget process. So I think that's something that's going to be very beneficial to the community as a whole. I can go on and on and on. I think that we should, the administration, with the help of the two council members who are right now active in the regional traffic, to talk to the planning department, the road department, again, to see what the county buy-in into what they can do on their road to make it better for the people who have invested in purchasing homes and living in that area. I think that's an area we also have to talk to, which is the county, and to get, it's their road. So we can say we want to do this, this, and this, but we still have to get permission from the county to implement different stuff, not pedestrian signs, not the easy stuff that we can do, but for any kind of road patterns or things like that, we have to get the county buy-in. So we'll do that too. So just give us a little bit of time, not a lot of time, give us a month, and we'll get we'll start getting some ducks in a row, and then we'll report back. Bob we can do it through a group email, we can do it through Councilman Iannacone getting in touch with the neighborhood, but it didn't fall on deaf ears, and it hasn't fallen on deaf ears. Our business administrator, not so much me, I on the phone with her, she calls the chief, we want enforcement, they go out there. What we want is a program that systematically goes throughout the town on a regular basis. And if that means we're putting 2 more police officers in the budget this year, we've done it every year. If next year we need to put more in, then the council will have to support and the taxpayers will have to support that more of an increase in their taxes. But I think with the right programming and a little bit of extra money, even if it's overtime, we have it. With the right program, I think we can be successful in targeting all the areas that are hot with traffic. I just think you have to program it, and you just have to use the latest technology that we have at our hands to do it. So it's time to bring it to the 21st century and to deal with all the extra traffic. I don't know if you guys are understanding where I'm going with this, but they do, which is good. So I hope you guys understand where I'm going with this, that it is not falling on deaf ears. Definitely the Farragut, I live right around the corner from you. That's unacceptable. But sometimes I think people just don't realize they go down a one way. They're not paying attention. People just are not, and we're a big dog walking community now. I don't know if you've noticed, maybe Allison started the trend, but we are a huge dog and pet community. I see people walking dogs Joe, I see people walking dogs everywhere. So listen, and he's right, Joe's right. It's been ongoing for 20 years, maybe longer. Enforcement is the easiest thing in the world to do, but I can't dictate to the Morristown Police Department when they enforce, where they enforce, and how much they enforce. But I can work with somebody who oversees the public safety realm of the community and program, and they can deal with the police department to program it when it can be done. And it's a big ask. Big ask from the council, it's gonna be a big ask from the public, and that's the way it's gonna be.
Sorry.
Well, no, you
That's
can't
it, Joe.
speak from the public.
You
I'm
can
sorry.
call me offline or come see me.
So,
Go ahead, Allison. You want to follow?
Just a follow-up, Mayor, if I may. And thank you, Michael, for bringing up the wrong-way drivers. I just heard 2 streets, DeHart Street and Tiffany Road, where they talked about wrong-way drivers, I think. So on Green Street, it's one way, and we had DPW, this was before you were mayor, so in between your council and mayorship. The sign was crooked, so you couldn't really see from James Street that it was a one-way road. So Anthony and Jeff Hardkey at the time took a look at it, and sure enough, the angle needed to be adjusted. So I'm almost wondering if on Tiffany Road. I think you said Tiffany Road was a one-way, is that?
No. Farragut?
Well, I heard Farragut, but no, not the other. Well, you talked about a wrong-way driver
Did they go the wrong way?
on Morris Avenue. So on DeHart, for sure, there is one sign that says, do not enter. Maybe there needs to be two. Maybe that sign needs to be realigned. You know, signs get crooked. The trees fall on them and they need to get adjusted. As far as wrong-way drivers on Morris Avenue, that sounds like a much bigger issue, but I think we have to address it. And just to your point, Mayor, about, you know, coming back to us on May 24th, I just would like to see what the remediation plan was. So when you come back to us on May 24th, after you said,
What
can we...
remediation plan? For what?
When you said you would come back in a month, give us a month to look at it,
Right.
I'd like to know what those
Well, how
plans
far- yeah,
are.
sure, that's fine.
Specifically numbered, what the specific measures and plans are, and what the goals are in terms of what they would address. That's all.
Since I have the acting chief here, Jillian, could you ask the acting chief if he could do some enforcement on Morris Avenue tomorrow?
Is that all from the public?
I think that's it for me. I mean, I think you all understand where we're heading, and like I said, you're not falling on deaf ears, and I appreciate everyone coming out. I appreciate the councilman from the 1st Ward, the 4th Ward, and Michael, and everybody who's made comments. Speeding is an issue everywhere. I can tell you I ran for council based on that issue. My wife's here in the audience. I couldn't get a slow down children sign on our street. This is factual. So I couldn't get a slow down children sign. So I ran for council. It took me 2 years to get a slow down children sign. I lost, but I ran again and I won. And I've been here ever since.
And now you're a third-time mayor.
So, yeah. So it's not falling on deaf ears. I understand the issue and the, not anger, but the frustration. And it's a county road, and it's not an easy fix, but we'll work on it. We will not forget you on Morris Avenue or anywhere else in town. That's it.
All right, thank you all for your comments and your responses and your concerns to the residents. And so now we'll move on to, I guess we don't have any mayor proclamations or presentations. So moving on to reports from the mayor and town officials. We'll start with the town officials and then we'll end. Do you have anything else to report on?
before I do the budget for us?
Go now.
That's good.
So while we have a few people exiting,
I'm gonna take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, 5-minute break, please. So now I'm gonna ask that we take a 5-minute break.
Go.
First time you've used it all year.
Yeah, are you for real? Stefan, you're a really good coach. I have to tell you, you're a great
A lot
coach.
quicker with that down.
Yeah.
Listen, only because I was talking to her. So if I wasn't talking to her, I'd have been ready.
Thank her for her
I'm ready to
tardiness.
roll.
What? Oh, no light?
Do you want my flashlight on?
No, I can see it.
So wait, I don't have to do it.
Well, I wish, are we back on?
I'm just gonna hear it.
We'll have to wait for the council president.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
just some.
Okay.
It's that new
This is
hair.
like the
It's that new
bloopers,
hair.
right? Council bloopers.
Don't make me blush. No.
It's the new quality.
I know, we both got new makeup.
I didn't even get a chance to.
I'm okay as long as the council's okay.
What's the, who's running the meeting here?
Yes.
You're okay? If you're okay with council president, it's
I
fine.
am.
What's the proposal?
The proposal is that we're going to save the actual budget presentation so that we have a little bit, the PowerPoint, so that we have a little bit more time to digest it, especially since we're just getting, our binders now. So I think it'll be beneficial if we have some time to actually go through it. Then that way, when we see the actual presentation, we'll be more informed so that we can, ask the appropriate questions before we go into our actual option of the budget.
Also, so you're not watching a PowerPoint at 11 o'clock and like.
It's 30 days. This is for like 30 days, or it's up for adoption in 2 weeks?
It'll be the 24th,
22nd.
22nd. Yes, that's what I meant.
So maybe the presentation's
By
in
24th, I meant
the
22nd.
at the
May 8th.
at the May 8th one, and
Yes.
then 2 weeks later, so there's a chance to, yeah, that would be great.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And now we'll turn it over to the mayor for his, he said it was gonna be 15 minutes. I think I'm gonna give
It's
him
probably
5.
less, it's probably less. It's probably less than that.
Mayor, you said less, that means 5. No.
He gonna put me on the clock. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I have a little meeting about traffic and everybody gets in an interesting mood.
Speed it up, right?
Hey, that was actually a very good discussion, and I think we can come up with some really great stuff for Morris Avenue and other areas in town that we continue to look to our police department to make sure they enforce safety in our streets. All right. Today, or I should say tonight, I am pleased to present to the citizens of Morristown and the Town Council the fiscal year 2018 municipal budget. The budget proposed tonight totals $52.4 million and includes a number of initiatives aimed at further improving government services and infrastructure. But this budget, which includes operating fund, capital fund, and sewer utility fund, while reflecting the realities of unavoidable cost increases, balances fiscal integrity with strategic investment to maintain the level of service our residents expect. This town has come a long way. 8 years ago, my administration was forced to make hard decisions about how we provide services while stemming the financial bleeding that occurred for years. While working to turn the tide of investment back into Morristown so that our community could flourish, now that we have made Morristown as desirable to others as us longtime residents always knew it could be, we can turn our efforts towards investing in the quality of life initiatives and making government work even better. In the past year, we have made strides in improving technology and using it to streamline how citizens do business with our government. In the Department of Code Enforcement, we've began streamlining application processes to cut the time in half and have armed our inspectors with tablets to do more in the field, resulting in the highest levels of productivity in 4 years. The next phase of this implementation will allow for online pet licensing and payments to be unveiled in just a few weeks, followed by streamlined tenant registration and other process improvements. I recently hired our new Director of Code Enforcement, who is working with our staff to facilitate the next phases of initiatives. We welcome him to our team, and that's Al Chifo, who's sitting right there in the front row. We are very happy he's with us. Safety and security are always a concern, always, and our police bureau works very hard every day for our residents and visitors. Morristown is called the military capital of the American Revolution and has become the symbol of freedom, the symbol of rights for everyone without oppression. As a result, large gatherings are common in this town, where people freely exercise their First Amendment rights. Our police department continues to provide top-notch crowd control for a number of large gatherings that draw thousands of people to our town. But they have also implemented initiatives to the county to counter opioid epidemic and focus on pedestrian safety enforcement and education. This year, we will be the pilot town for a new bicycle safety initiative with Rutgers University to ensure that drivers and bicyclists are aware of and adhere to bike riding safety laws. All that while continuing pedestrian safety initiatives, vehicular safety enforcement, crime prevention and investigation, and all of their other daily tasks. There are 2 new recruits planned for this year, including at least 1 military veteran. I'd like to take a moment to thank our men and women in blue for what you do every day. Thank you, Captain. We really appreciate what you do. The Fire Bureau is also vital to our safety and security of our town. They receive over 1,600 calls for service last year, provided fire prevention services to our businesses and residences, and continue their participation in the Urban Search and Rescue, USAR, program. Through this FEMA-funded program, our firefighters are trained and equipped for all types of complicated rescue techniques and are called upon other towns to assist when there is a major accident or rescue effort. This program directly benefits our residents, as well as infusing our department with skill set and specialized equipment that is typically limited to large city departments. This, along with local efforts like the distribution and installation of hundreds of smoke detectors every year, demonstrates the commitment of our firefighters to the welfare of our residents and visitors. This year, we plan to expand the prevention efforts even further. We will be supporting the fire department by an addition of 1 additional firefighter to their roster. Chief, you and your staff and volunteers must be commended for your efforts. Thank you all. Redevelopment projects continue to bring new energy into Morristown, complementing the existing character that attracts new businesses and residents to our historic community. While the Fox Rothschild project in 185 Morris Street opened in 2017, additional developments are expected to come online this year. The next phase of Speedwell redevelopment project, Modera 55, will initiate occupancy this summer, while the Metropolitan Lofts at 11 Dehart Street will begin moving their first tenants this week. The completion of 11 Dehart marks the ending of an era, as this is the final piece of the Epstein's redevelopment area. And I must pause there for a second. I saw Carl Goldberg the other night and told him that we were going to be mentioning this in my speech. And this is really something that has come to fruition, as this was a dream 10 years ago to the infusion of what our downtown could be. And the Epstein's redevelopment from 40 Park to Metropolitan, now to the townhouses on Maple, and now to 11 Dehart, really has proven to be the shot in the arm that started the revitalization, along with the theater and other things in Morristown. And we are truly grateful for their investment in a time when people were not investing in communities, that there was a crisis, financial crisis in the country, and they had secured their financing and they were able to build. And we are reaping the benefits from that multi-million-dollar investment in our community. So I wanted to let him know I was going to actually publicly thank him and his team for what they have accomplished here in Morristown. This project achieved the goal of sparking reinvestment in Morristown. There has clearly been a transformation downtown over the last 10 years that has positively impacted our community well beyond its project borders. That is why the New Jersey chapter of American Planning Association awarded Morristown with the Great Place Downtown Award in 2017. The other side of Market Street is the next frontier, as 2 projects begin construction this year, including a new hotel. We will continue to encourage reinvestment in our town that transforms blight into part of a vibrant fabric of our community. And we have not, nor will we ever forget about affordable housing. We have generated many affordable housing units as part of the redevelopment, and will continue to make affordable housing a priority in any residential project. Taxpayers should be proud of the progress made in the last 8 years, as growth brought many new businesses and residents to town. In addition to removing blight, that activity has also directly benefited the taxpayer. The development that has occurred since 2010 adds $98.5 million in assessed value. With this additional value, including the hospital and the pilots from redevelopment projects, every taxpayer saves $1,150 per 100,000 assessed value over the next 10 years. That means if you're the average homeowner with a property assessed at $354,097, you will have saved $4,079, which is a meaningful savings. With new development, there has been increasing discussions about traffic. So, last year we invested in engaging an international firm to help us understand and mitigate traffic through town. What did we learn? That most trips are from out of Morristown. In fact, we have confirmed that 1/3 of all trips are simply pass-through to and from 287. So my administration will be working with the county and our neighboring towns to work towards reasonable regional planning. However, we also learned that there are several steps we can take on our own borders, including the upgrading of traffic signal equipment to ensure proper signal timing, which is a fix that is now underway with the assistance of NJDOT. We are excited to continue discussing the initiatives recommended as part of the outcome of this study, including how to infuse a more robust analysis on traffic impacts to our development, reviewing processes, and allocating incremental costs to developers. In addition to addressing traffic, the town has invested in open space and recreation every year of my administration. This past year, the town constructed Clayton Woods, a beautiful park now being enjoyed for passive recreation. The official ribbon cutting will be later this spring. The first phase of Granby Park improvements was also completed, and Lidgerwood Field received a facelift from DPW with the assistance of Woodmont Properties, who hosted a community service day and tree planting there last year. This year begins the first phase of the park adjacent to the Speedwell redevelopment area, as well as the new improvements planned at Caldwell Park, Granby, and upgrades to the field house at Burnham Park. These improvements will accompany the initiation of upgrades to the Burnham Park pool complex. There was also a new community garden under construction at Elliott Street, Mr. Armington, with the assistance of grant dollars awarded in 2017. We are most excited about finalizing the acquisition of 11 acres of open space to the preserve adjacent to the Loyola Retreat Center. The town has also begun an enhancement of trails at Foots Pond Wood, a project funded by a grant of $135,000 awarded from Morris County. This project dovetails with the endeavors of the Mayor's Environmental Commission in leading the effort to initiate the hydrology study at Foots Pond. They also have organized lakeside cleanups and other efforts, including working with Sustainable Morristown towards recertification. Thanks to these two organizations, Morristown has earned the Silver certification for Sustainable Jersey for the first time, and is only one of 48 municipalities in New Jersey to earn this high honor. Kudos for all those who get this recognition, for those environmental and sustainable Morristown. The Shade Tree Commission has also been an active part of our community. In 2017, they facilitated donation of 10 street trees from several generous donors. And thanks to their efforts, we were prepared for the emerald ash borer, an insect that has wreaked havoc on communities in this country. Thanks to the Shade Tree Commission, Morristown was educated and prepared before this devastating epidemic reached our borders. Last year, they also earned a grant from TD Bank to complete a major tree and shrub planting at Morristown High School for Arbor Day. Thank you to the members of the Shade Tree Commission for your hard work on behalf of our shade trees. The town has been extremely successful with many grants awarded recently. In 2017, the town was awarded a total of $2.9 million in grant funding for various activities, including the acquisition of 11 acres of open space for preservation. These grant dollars demonstrate the commitment of my administration to be good stewards of your tax dollars by leveraging our resources to multiply their impact. Another one of those grants includes $1 million to improve the streetscape at Spring Street from Speedwell to Water Street, which complements the town's existing streetscape investment on MLK Avenue and improves the pedestrian connection from the green to the other side of Headquarters Plaza through pedestrian improvements down Water Street. We anticipate construction to commence next year. The next phase of the MLK Streetscape project will continue this spring and include a beautiful pedestrian plaza at Patriots Path Trailhead. The town will also be completing the next phase of Washington Street Streetscape, this year. Am I down to 3 minutes?
2.
All of these capital projects are led by our engineering division, a small but robust operation. Last year, in addition to a new park and streetscape projects, the division oversaw the paving of 1.8 miles of roads and oversaw $500,000 in curbs, sidewalk and drainage improvements. That's Anthony, and he deserves recognition because it's not like he's staffed with 18 engineers at his beck and call. He is in the trenches with his team every day, and our roads are in good shape. State roads are something to be desired, but he does a great job in our engineering department, and his team is to be commended. Along with the capital projects and supporting the townwide mobility study with the planning division, the engineering division modernized our in-house technology through development of in-house GIS and 3D photography and modeling capabilities. This year, these initiatives will continue to enhance the physical environment of our town. Our workforce is the backbone of our town, our most valuable resource. Given all that we have and continue to achieve as a community, I am proud of the town employees and continue to be impressed by their contributions. From our police, who assured the safety of over 10,000 visitors that arrived in our town earlier this year, not once, but twice, to the recovery from wind damage and volumes of snow removal expertly executed by our DPW, to the life-saving and public service initiatives from our firefighters. Every day I am reminded why our employees are so vital. In 2017, the town invested in our entire workforce through expanding training, including customer service, diversity, harassment training for everyone, as well as a comprehensive leadership training program for our supervisors. We also updated our personnel handbook at the end of last year to ensure that our policies are modern and user-friendly. We will continue enhancing our workforce this year through additional professional development, as well as modernizing payroll and time management functions to make these processes more efficient. Furthermore, all 6 of the town collective bargaining agreements are in the midst of active negotiation. Ms. Barrett? And I am committed to settling contracts that fairly compensate our employees while maintaining the cost effectiveness of our taxpayers. It should be noted, however, that much like the rest of the country, the rising costs of personnel are a major driver of cost increases this year. Healthcare pension costs alone total over $1.1 million in increased appropriations, while increases in salaries from anticipated collective bargaining agreements add additional pressure to the operating budget. However, we must continue to support our employees as they are our most valuable asset. Nevertheless, local revenues are stable and property values continue to grow. Our budget is sound, yet this year's anticipated expenditure increases are greater than can be offset by new revenue sources or reductions in costs without impacting service delivery. Therefore, this year's proposed budget includes a modest increase of 1.3 pennies. However, the municipal tax rate still remains less than it was 7 years ago. My administration remains committed to sound fiscal management, which is why the fund balance policy has been proposed to the council for adoption. Now, I pause there because this is, I think, going to be a very important piece of legislation for you to consider. And the policy ensures that there will be a long-term stability for our financial foundation. So I'm just going to pause and ad-lib for a second. We all know no one stays forever in the job they're in. Eventually, I will not be mayor. But I am committed to make sure that what happened to me when I came in as mayor will not happen to the man or woman who precedes me as mayor. When I took office, I was $5 million in the negative. What this does, it keeps, if I got this correct, $10 million in our surplus at all time, not to go below, and you pass a law that makes that happen. Now, the next mayor could come in and ask the council to change that. You guys could change it. But I think there's something to that to have a sound financial community means to have a good surplus. It's good for bond rating. It's good for borrowing. And it leaves a legacy for the next mayor that comes in that doesn't have to walk into a place and lay off 17% of the workforce, find money where money didn't exist, streamline budgets for years in a row just to get out of the water. And I think it's something that I'm going to ask the council to support. and I think it's a good, sound policy, and it is supported by our administration, Ms. Barrick, and I think it's something that we'll discuss, and I wanted to mention it tonight, so I think it's important for the future of Morristown. It's long-term stability for our financial foundation and safeguards our coffers such that we are prepared should catastrophe lie ahead. It further affirms to the investment and credit communities our commitment to making the tough short-term decisions to maintain long-term financial and operational stability for our future generations. This year's budget reflects a choice, not an easy choice, but a reasonable choice. I'd like to thank the business administrator, Jillian Barrick, our Chief Financial Officer, Frank Mason, for their many hours and dedication and hard work assembling the most important policy document that we have each year. And when I say that, I can tell you that once the budget cycle goes through and this is adopted, and we will get to a place where we will adopt this budget, they get a break. It's not a long break. And because I've been doing this for a number of years, I see what takes place shortly after the budget process. They're in next year's budget process already. It's the most important document. It's the hardest. It's hard to run the business of the town when you have a couple hundred employees in a town this busy. But this document, this work on this budget by our department heads, by Frank Mason, by Jillian Barrick, and our town attorney, I wanted to give him a mention because he's not in the speech. It is something that I'm very grateful and honored that we hired Jillian Barrick and Frank Mason and the directors we have because in our Department of Law, because it reflects on what she does every day with the finances of this community, and I'm eternally grateful for your leadership, and my hope is that you will be in Morristown for a very long time. So saying that, I'm not trying to make anybody feel, but it's a commitment, and it really does matter for a future generation. So saying that, I'd like to thank all the department heads working to restore financial sensibility and prudence the way government operates and fosters a cooperative, responsive municipal service delivery that our citizens feel proud to call Morristown. And to our employees, each of you serves a vital role in bringing these goals to fruition and would not be able to accomplish any of this without our employees. Our community is a better place because you are a part of our team, and I thank you. I pledge to every resident to continue my best efforts for this great town. Thank you for your continued trust and ongoing support of the efforts of my administration. Maya Angelou once said, "All of us knows not what is expedient, not what is going to make us popular, not what the policy is, or the company policy, but in truth, each of us knows what is the right thing to do, and that is how I am guided." Here's to a great year for Morristown. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless Morristown.
You're over by 2 minutes. No.
Sorry.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much for that wonderful address. And we look forward to seeing the actual presentation by our business administrator, Jillian Barrett. All right, moving on to reports from town officials. Any reports from town officials? Or any comments on the mayor's budget address? I'll take a step back. Any comments on the address? No? Okay, so moving on to reports from the town officials.
Well, I'd like to thank the mayor for his budget address, and I look forward to reading it, the PowerPoint. The Environmental Commission will be meeting next week, I believe, so that meeting is open to the public. It's the first Tuesday of the month, so I'll look forward to that meeting.
If the council is not aware, I would like everyone to be aware that this week is Restaurant Week in Morristown. And for all the public to know that this week is Restaurant Week. So you can go to the website, morristownrestaurantweek.com, and you'll see booklets and pamphlets throughout town. There's some great promotions and some great deals through a lot of the great restaurants that we have, so check it out. And that goes from yesterday, the 23rd, to Friday, April 27th.
Parking Authority met on April 17th. Mayor was in attendance at the meeting also. It was actually a very interesting meeting. What we will be seeing here at the council shortly will be the Parking Authority's proposal with reference to Lot 10, AKA Farmers Market parking lot. A lot of input has been given on this parking deck, new parking deck for town. A lot of things have been listened to. A lot of the comments that I think the Parking Authority has heard has been incorporated into the plan, but it will be coming to us for input and input from our community, so we should be seeing that shortly and that project commencing. The other thing that was, other project that was introduced is the project in back of the train station, at the train station. That will be going to the planning board shortly. It may come to the council, I don't know if it will, under a developer's agreement? Oh, it would? Okay. So we'll be seeing that shortly. And then, other than that, I do think that the issue of, the mayor was a little vocal about this at the meeting also, thank you very much, about accurate counts coming out of the Parking Authority, so that just like the traffic counts coming to our planning board, coming to our Board of Adjustments, we also have accurate parking counts coming out of our Parking Authority as to available spaces.
Mm-hmm. I'll just bring it up, not council business per se, but the Elliott Street Playground Community Garden, we had a work weekend with about 30 people on Saturday and about 25 people on Sunday, and really transformed it, and we still got a good amount of work left to do, but go check it out if you have an opportunity. It's, there's 8 sets of terraces, 100 feet long by with a nice split rail fence around it, and we look forward to working with the town and Environmental Commission and Grow It Green to hopefully start planting some plants in June or so.
Stefan, isn't there a planning board meeting Thursday?
Yes, there is.
Yesterday, there was a housing authority meeting. I didn't stay for the whole thing. I had another meeting to go to, but I'm pleased to announce that they've all decided on who they'd like to have as their executive director. So I guess we'll all hear everything about it soon.
Mm-hmm. What was the vote on that? Was it unanimous?
I'm sorry?
What
Yes.
was the vote on that?
Unanimous.
It was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
moving
it.
on to,
Yeah, I wasn't done, but that's okay.
I know, I realized that, so.
That's all right. It was just the address. Can I go now?
No.
No, it's going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take 5 minutes. Listen, I think these are important things that the council should know about, and very important thing. So on April 10th, we went to there was 2 things. I went to a school forum on school security that the superintendent held at the high school. It was very informative. And I believe that is on the website. They put that up. You can get that, yes. So you should take a look at that. There was a public hearing by the BPU on JCP&L held in Parsippany. There was not a big turnout. My only one really issue was sometimes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's hard to get residents coming home from work and getting to these things. But they clearly are looking at how the response was from JCP&L and PSE&G and other utility companies in the state with the storms. Cornerstone had their spring gala. It was very successful. Patrice Picard was honored along with her husband who had passed away. It was very moving and it was very well attended. The Morris School District budget presentation, we attended. Internal. I think that I'm going to ask they should come and do something in front of the council. I think the school should come and present their budget to you guys, because it's a big budget. A lot of security issues, hiring 13 Class 3 officers, new glass, new kiosks, new entranceways, whole new systems. They're investing a lot in the security side. I hate to say that, the way the country's gone, but I think the council should be informed of the school, what the budget's going to be coming up as.
Mayor, is there any opportunity of sharing that concept of an OEM person here in the town with the schools?
Yeah, I mean, they've gone and hired a school director now of security, but absolutely, I think that's one of the things that it's growing, and this isn't, all the schools in our town. So, yeah, I think that plays a part in all of it, on coordination, and I think it's important. I think we've got to the point in this country where, I hate to say it, I felt terrible sitting there listening to this presentation about how kids have to go through 2 drills a month, active shooting drills. How it's totally changed. And I don't know what the right answer is, but the school, our superintendent is taking the security measure, and I must commend him on it. Mackie Pendergrass and his team are I think in the front running of security to make sure that our children are safe, and I have to commend them for that. But I think you guys should be informed of everything. I had coffee with the seniors, it was good. They were waiting for their bus, but it was very good. They had a lot of interesting questions and things like that. It was good. There was a ribbon cutting at the state. There's a new State Farm office, so anybody looking for insurance, it's 22 Pine Street. State Farm, 22 Pine. Soup Kitchen, and they had their cocktail party the 19th. We had, April 21st, Clean Community Spring Cleanup. So I had opening baseball, National Open Baseball, American, Arbor, clean up Burnham Park. They planted a tree, had to get over there because someone from the Burnham family, the original family that donated the park was going to be there, but we couldn't coordinate the times. By the time I got to the town, there was no bags left. There was nothing left. They had 3 times the amount of people show up to do the spring cleanup in our town. What an amazing turnout. I must say that is great to witness and to feel and to see that when you show there and you pull up and there's 2 people sitting there and go, okay, what can I do? No bags left. There's nothing left. They're all gone. And nothing. So that was great to see that turnout. Bethel AME had their prayer walk at the Presbyterian Church in the green. Morristown Little League opened up. American League opened up. And you'll hear stories that I didn't throw the ball straight, but don't listen to them. And Bethel AME did their dedication and interpretive panel installation. And the Knights of Columbus, and is he still here? The Knights of Columbus had their annual appreciation dinner honoring the blue, it was a blue mass, blue. So Captain Buckley was honored for his year of service and everything he's given to the community. And I got to say a few words. Along with a retired lieutenant from the Morris Township and a military, Paul Ron, and they were all honored, given plaques for their service. So our captain is here, our detective captain of police. I'd like to give him a little round. Thank you. I don't think he's acting chief anymore, so I don't think we're going to get that. No, we're going to get that enforcement. Tell him to do the enforcement on the. Governor Murphy was in town in Parsippany yesterday. He held a mayor's meeting with all the mayors in the county, and we were able to talk about JCP&L, some of the issues with transit, the issues with DOT, and his staff was there, who were really the ones you have to talk to. And the staff stayed behind, and we got to talk, and I don't know if it made any difference, but clearly DOT was out doing some stuff. So I know the governor's paying attention, because he did send up a note, and this goes on something you said, Mr. Elms, was he said, good luck and a great restaurant week in Morristown. So they pay attention. So it's good to see that our governors pay attention to everywhere in the state, so we're happy to see that. 28th, Shade Tree Commission Arbor Day. Tree tree donation by the Rotary Club. It's you, Michael?
Yep.
So that's 10 a.m. the 28th. Does it say where, though? Doesn't say where.
I have it on my calendar.
So could you announce where it is?
I think it's at Elliott Street Playground.
Is it at the Elliott Street Playground? Fabulous. Fantastic.
The 3 new trees that they put in there.
Fabs. Well, Shade Tree is out there doing their thing, and thank you, Michael, pass on thank you to the Rotary Club, the cherry tree donation. It's we're very grateful for it. At 7 p.m. that night, Grow a Green has its Diamonds for Kale fundraising gala. It's at the Seeing Eye. I don't know if there's tickets still available. I think it's sold out. I'm not sure, but you can go to www.growagreens.org
growitgreenmorristown.org. I know my wife is going. I have another engagement, but I don't know if it's sold out. It may be sold out. On the 2nd, there's a grand opening for West End Residential at 5:30. If anybody would like to attend on my behalf, Council President, or anybody be here, I cannot make it. That's May 2nd, 5:30 at 109 Washington Street. Okay, Saturday, May 5th, 4 p.m. Relay for Life at Morristown Armory. That's 4 p.m. Relay for Life on May 5th. 5 p.m., this is important. I hope the council can come out and support this. 5 p.m., Sandy Hook Ride on Washington welcomes our rally here for the riders from Newtown, Connecticut, who continue to ride from Newtown to Washington, advocating for sensible gun legislation and assault and dealing with assault weapons. Those are the families that are represented by the riders of all those children that were killed, and teachers and adults that were killed, 26 of them. So all those who can make it, Kevin, the 5th at 5 p.m. here to welcome the Sandy Hook Riders at Town Hall. On the next day, in the morning, 8 a.m., Sandy Hook Riders will take off to go Washington at 8 a.m. And then for those I'll be at, I always speak, 12:30 at the Morristown Green is the annual AIDS Walk. It's another important issue. Education and prevention and testing still has to be done on a regular basis. So 12:30 at the Green, annual AIDS Walk. They usually have a very good turnout. And finally, at 6 p.m., the Table of Hope, SOAR, Source Spring Street CDC 2, annual gala, Denim and Diamonds, Shine Bright Like a Diamond. That's going to be at the Table of Hope at, I guess that's at Bethel. Right? Yeah. I think it's at Bethel. I don't know.
I don't know if the event is.
It's May 7th, so I'm not sure where the event is. It's not on here. So I'll find out and get it posted. May 7th. You could just call Bethel AME Church and find out where it is.
You done?
Yeah.
All right, so we went a little, I'm sorry, I went a little bit out of order. We went through the council liaison reports before the
All right.
mayor reports, and so everybody's already given their reports on behalf of being a liaison. So we'll move on to calendar of events. Are there any council members that have any events they'd like to share with the public? If not, we'll move on to regular business.
Okay, we have 5 ordinances for introduction this evening.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Council President, if we might, I ask that we remove from introduction this evening ordinance number 9, 2018. And the reason for that is I've been working with the administration and our Department of Law, and we think we can improve on the ordinance. This is the ordinance, and I had help from Pastor Silva and Hillary Davis also on this. This is with reference to the minors being able to occupy apartments that may not meet the square footage standard. The ordinance was very well prepared, I will say, but I think there's some tweaking that we could do on it to improve upon that. We'd like to introduce that at the next meeting.
Okay.
5-8. Okay, thank you. So we have ordinance 0-8-2018, calendar year ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Have a motion?
Oh, I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone? Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 8-2018 has been properly introduced and will be considered for final passage at a public hearing to be held during the May 8th, 2018 regular meeting. Next, we have ordinance number 0-10-2018, ordinance appropriating $30,000 received by the town from Whole Foods Market Northeast for streetscape improvements on Washington Street in and by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, New Jersey.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Okay,
Ordinance 10-2018 has been properly introduced and will be considered for final passage at a public hearing to be held during the May 8th, 2018 regular meeting. Next, we have ordinance 11-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 Traffic.
I'll move it.
Second.
Councilman Armington,
Questions?
discussion?
Just wanted a clarification. Does this restrict loading vehicles?
No, this doesn't restrict loading vehicles, and it doesn't restrict commercial vehicles that are in active construction or repair. This
Okay.
simply prohibits the parking of commercial vehicles on roads overnight.
Okay.
And this would be, the proposed ordinance would become effective January 1st of 2019. So the permits that are outstanding as of right now, it gives them plenty of time to find alternative parking.
Okay, one moment. Okay, on 11-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
11-2018 has also been properly introduced and will be considered for final passage at a public hearing to be held during the May 8th, 2018 regular meeting. Ordinance 12-2018, an ordinance of the Town of Morristown, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 30, Land Use Regulations, Article 8A, Affordable Housing Overlay Zone, Section 30-8A03, Low and Moderate Income Housing Requirements of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster? Yes. Ordinance 12
Excuse me.
sorry.
Just one comment on this, though. When we present it at the next meeting, can we tie it in with our settlement and with the numbers and how it ties in? Because I'm sure that's why we're making the connection, correct? By
Yeah,
increasing it to
absolutely.
15%.
And we can provide a little, a short little presentation,
That would
but
be
this is
helpful.
all part of the
Settlement.
affordable housing settlement
Yeah.
and the special master, and one of the condition was that the town introduce this ordinance.
Okay.
So we can present that at the next meeting.
This is, okay, because we had some specific projects identified with number of units, and I just want to see how it plays in with increasing it to the 15 and 20%.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ordinance 12-2018 has been properly introduced and will be forwarded to the planning board for a consistency review. There is one ordinance on the agenda for adoption, ordinance 7-2018, ordinance providing for certain capital improvements at the Morristown Municipal Airport by the town of Morristown in the county of Morris, state of New Jersey, and appropriating $229,000 therefore to finance part of the cost thereof.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay.
At this time, I'd open up for a public hearing. Questions, comments from council? Seeing none, call the question.
Okay. Can I have a, hold on,
I have to make the motion again?
Make a motion,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Oh, did I screw that up? Sorry, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva. And
Yes.
Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 7-2018 is adopted. Next up, we have 9 resolutions for adoption. Unless anyone would like to consider them separately, would you like for me to call the vote en masse?
I'd just like to pull 81 and 87.
Okay.
Any other resolutions council members would like to have removed? If not, I'd like to make a motion that we vote on them in starting with Resolution 80, pulling 81, going down to 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, omitting 87, and including 88.
Okay. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
If I could, I would just like to announce that Resolution 80-2018, the public hearing for approval of the 2018 municipal budget will be held on May 22nd at 7:30. Okay, motion for 81-2018.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, comments?
Question, Mayor, is this the 10 million you were talking about?
Yeah.
It is, right? This is. Question, bond covenants, are we required by our bond covenants to have a certain level of surplus in any of the covenants in the bonds?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No. It's a good move.
It's a great move.
It is. I'm surprised you don't have the covenants in the bonds. Wow.
Trust me, I talk to many mayors, and I ask them what their surplus is, and you hear 200,000, 265,000, 300,000. You know, we're in good shape. And you know what? We're going to leave it in good shape when we're all not here.
Now, do you need any flexibility with that 10 million in terms of fluctuation in spending
We'd
through a
have to
year?
come to them.
The policy that's before you, has some flexibility built into it. 25% is a pretty reasonable floor with which to maintain a fund balance. We've got north of that now, and that assumes the use of fund balance that's in the proposed budget without any lapsed funds coming back. We believe that this is fairly achievable, and it does allow for flexibility. Certainly this is a policy. Should circumstances arise for some reason where we would need to consider, going against the policy, that would need to be discussed at some point in the future. But this is, again, just affirming that this is our goal, and this is what we intend to maintain, short of some emergency circumstances.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay, on 81-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Can I have a motion for 87-2018?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Discussion?
I'll be honest with you, this is the one I didn't understand. What exactly is this? Because I did notice that this package actually describing the contract was actually at our desks tonight, and I just didn't have a chance to review the package that was left.
This is part of the settlement, and this was actually discussed when the original settlement was discussed about a year ago, that there's a requirement that we dictate how we were going to spend our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This simply formalizes the spending plan as was discussed as part of the settlement, and we would have to adopt it individually to affirm that this is something we're committed to as part of the settlement package. So this is nothing new. It's simply a formal declaration that this is the spending plan.
Per the court order.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. On 87-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, there's no unfinished business.
Yes.
We have, oh, sorry.
Yes. May I interrupt, Council President?
Sure.
I ran into three gentlemen today that were on Wetmore Avenue and Collis. One guy was heading into a backyard, so I did stop and question. They did have work uniforms on, hard hats, yellow vests. They are a subcontractor of Captain Buckley. Can you stay for this? So I asked what they were doing in the neighborhood. Captain, could you come up? Because I don't know if the police department's aware of it. So Verizon has hired subcontractors to inspect all their poles. This is another great thing, right? Because we've been complaining about the poles. They're a subcontractor, they do not have a permit, and they have to knock on doors to get go into people's backyards. So nobody's at home, they've been going into backyards, they're inspecting the poles, and they're doing work around the poles. I saw 3 poles they were working on today. So they wanted, I told them I would let the council know, let the police department know. let the administration know, so the public needs to know that they don't have Verizon, they have a different name, but they're the first crew in. There's 12 more crews coming. So they're going to be blanketed all over Morristown inspecting Verizon poles. And most people who don't know, a lot of these poles that have wires on them for our power are Verizon poles. They're not JCP&L poles. So they're doing a major inspection of the poles, and the public needs to be aware that there'll be people in their backyards, and I don't want people to panic. So if you could send emails out to your groups, police department can send the nixle out. We'll post on the Facebook and our website. At least that'll get some of the information out. So you may get a phone call. Your council may get a phone call. Also may get somebody from the fourth ward calling, hey, there was a guy working in my backyard. Who is this? Now you know. You're armed with the information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kev, make sure you put that in there, will you? Yeah, they have their, I think they have the name of the company. They don't have a permitting process. It's something that we should call Verizon, Ms. Barrick. We should call Verizon. Yes, she's already writing it down. And somehow maybe we need to come up with a permitting process.
Don't they have an easement? Isn't that a public utility?
For the inspectors, I don't.
What kind of permit are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, that they're accessing private property to look at poles.
But they have a public easement.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think they have a public.
They do, but they can't. They're a subcontractor, just not going to walk on people's property. They were knocking on doors, and one of my neighbors came and walked them back there, walked with them. But in this day and age, there's some guy that's not a Verizon, doesn't have a Verizon thing, or JCP&L, and he's in the backyard with a pickaxe and a shovel.
Well, they should have ID on.
I'm sure they have their company ID, but that doesn't really tell you anything.
But if they've been hired by Verizon, technically
They're
they're working as
They're
subcontractor for Verizon, or they're agents of Verizon. But did they say when they were going to start and when they were going to finish?
They already have. No, I don't have. That's why we're going to call Verizon. I just wanted you guys to be aware. If you hear from any of your neighbors, that's what they're doing. They're inspecting the utility poles.
Thank you.
Okay? Thanks, Detective Captain Michael Buckley.
No new business, no questions or comments on correspondence?
I have a couple questions. How does it get determined, and thanks to Councilman Iannacone for this question, how does it get determined what is included in correspondence? And like, for example, we get resolutions from different towns. How is that decision made?
Is it just sent to?
I make it.
Yeah, the clerk.
And so if it's something that another municipality or an organization wants us to share, on their behalf.
Oh, it's incoming from other municipalities, so it's not selective, this is all that came in. Okay, so I have two questions. The first is on number 3, and it's for the administration, or for the business administrator. So that letter that was sent by former Mayor Sisler, Bruce Sisler, Committeeman Sisler, they have committee form of government, it just raised some questions as I read it, and I emailed you over the weekend with that loose limb in Foots Pond, and thank you for getting that taken care of so quickly. I saw the truck out yesterday. So,
Absolutely.
Does it spawn any questions or from your end as to issues that we may have to deal with? And
So this letter, I received the letter a couple of weeks ago. And as you know, we had a substantial storm, a month ago, not too long before, and we're still recovering from it. Our crews have been out every single day dealing with tree limbs, branches, safety issues in and around our public properties as well as in and around our streets. So we've been working diligently every single day. In fact, they were at Burnham Park the day after I got his letter. So,
right.
Just like they're dealing with recovery, so are we.
It's taking a while. It's taking its toll.
It doesn't happen overnight. We don't have, an army of staff to just deploy, as much as I would like to. But we're doing the best that we can with the staff that we have, and they've been working diligently
So
to
are
address
we
every
doing
single
it
issue.
in-house? Are we doing that tree work in-house?
we
Or
talking
do we
about the-
use Bartlett Tree Company or
Burnham
their?
Park, the Sisler letter.
What was Sister's letter about how he would support?
Well, there were some issues.
Okay, so let me
Burnham Park.
lay the playing field. I was there for opening day. It looks beautiful down there. So one of the things I said to Mr. Sister, well, how much money are you putting in to improvements down at Burnham Park? Are you putting any money in? No. They want to do lights at Burnham Park. They want to do all kinds of things, but the Burnham Park Association has certain alienable rights to what gets done and what doesn't get done. And they're not going to allow certain things that the baseball league would like. Now, a new shed, a little 10 by 10 shed, we're not having a problem with that. That's not the issue. So, they would like lights there, they would like night baseball, they would like a lot of things, but the Burnham Park Association is very strict, am I right, on what they can do and what they can't do.
Well, I'm sorry, Mayor. I was just getting at the tree safety and maintenance, because the letter talked about that. It didn't talk about
I was down
lights.
there for opening day. I didn't see that there was any issue with getting on and off the field, parking. It was packed. It was a great opening day, so.
But wasn't it
I think-
posted, it was like right after the storm?
It was right, his letter was premature.
Oh,
and,
okay.
It may be late, so maybe I'm tired, but I was kind of insulted because I feel like, you guys have your own stuff to deal with. You're dealing with your own stuff. You got tree limbs down. You got park damage. You got your own stuff. Deal with your own town. Unless you want to send your crews into Morristown and deal with our park, which they don't want to do, then deal with your own stuff.
It was really like.
I mean, really.
A day or so. It was
Really?
shortly after the storm.
Really. There have been crews in Burnham Park.
I guess I'm getting at, do we have issues that helped us raise that we needed to take care of?
No, I did
know
not
sent
need
you
the
email about
township to tell us that we needed to deal with
tree.
our park. We were dealing with our parks, and it was
The
dealt with.
tree limb that I sent you was kind of on the line.
No, that was handled. In fact, as soon as I got your email,
Okay.
Rich Fernicole was actually in town. He had roped off the area for the weekend until we
Okay.
get to it yesterday. And as you know, we got to it yesterday. So we are responsive, as you all know.
So it sounds like we don't have any issues.
No.
Okay. The fifth point I would like to discuss because it has to do with, I think, and again, thanks to Councilman Iannacone, because we spoke about this before the meeting. So this resolution opposes the recreational use of marijuana, and it's, I guess, clearly a written statement opposing it from the Parsippany municipality. It's an interesting resolution, and I did some research on it, and I just was wondering, I don't know the best way to bring this up. I think I would like to maybe, if possible, bring it up as new business for the next meeting. But the issue, not only are there some concerns about, and I don't know what side people are on this issue, but there is a couple of whereas clauses that concern me about it, how it impacts and relates to the opioid crisis and how it is a gateway drug. But the real concern to me is one of, do we want these kinds of shops and these facilities in our town? And that kind of gets at a zoning issue. So,
Are we there yet? Are we there?
so
No, because it's not even.
It's not even a law, it's nothing, there's nothing, it's just
So
it's
do
just a
we
bunch of
want
people talking about it.
to get ahead of the law and make sure that we don't have weed shops in town? Because I would.
You would like to have weed shops?
I said, could we get ahead of the law and oppose and do something about the zoning so we don't have weed shops in town? Because I would like to get ahead of the law. So can you educate me on
You
the,
create an ordinance barring something that's not even legal. So I think you should really wait for the law before you pass any zoning ordinances.
so we wouldn't be in a position where the law's
Mr.
been
Towns did it.
created and we have to allow for it?
Oh, yeah, they're just
If there's a
taking-
law that,
they don't want it.
a
Council
state
doesn't
law
want it.
that requires municipalities to do it, then you cannot do it anyway. So it's.
That's kind of what I was,
What you're suggesting is creating an ordinance, a zoning ordinance, barring an activity that is not even legal to be in any zones whatsoever.
Well, just to be clarified, the reason why I asked the question, because I think a lot of the things that come up in this public correspondence are thrown at us.
Sure.
They're not necessarily relevant, i.e., I agree 100% with what Jillian's saying with reference to the Morris Township letter. Kind of, we're taking care of it, Shade Tree Commission, meeting with Shade Tree Commission, talking about private trees, but it's also interesting how a lot of towns are starting to address this legalization of marijuana issue ahead of the time. So really, let's face it, for what these two things are. These are just two advocacy from two public positions from these two towns. Now, I agree with Alice to the extent that I think they're irrelevant, because it's going to be a state issue, it's going to be a federal issue, it's not going to be our issue, and we don't need to be debating that in town. I do think that, for example, Point Pleasant was way ahead of themselves by actually starting to zone already for, I don't know what you call them. What do you call them?
Used to be
Dispensaries.
Dispensaries.
And the, what do you call paraphernalia?
Paraphernalia.
Head shops.
What are they called?
Back in the day, they used to be
Back in
head
the days,
shops.
it was called head shops.
How do you know that, Bob?
I don't know that. But that being said, it's
got
a
those
good,
two
it's
parks,
a,
when you got
it's a
those
good
tickets,
point.
you
I
didn't
think
say
what
there
Alice's
was
point
speeding
is, right, those speeding tickets, God knows what I was young, unfortunately, in town. But it goes to the point of it's not too early probably to be reading about it, understanding what other towns are doing it, why are they doing it, and what, because let's face it, just like we seem to be the center of attention on a lot of other issues because of who we are and what we are, a lot of people are going to be looking at Morristown on this issue too, once it comes, but it's probably a little early.
Well, I mean, it's not too early to issue a resolution opposing it, we've done that before. We did it with the Paris Initiative and the mayor's Paris Initiative. I would be in favor of introducing a resolution at the next meeting, or discussing it under new business.
I wouldn't go as far as a resolution, but I mean, if you want to add it for new business for a discussion, I mean, I don't know what, our legal counsel can do in terms
Well,
of.
I'm assuming, just if I may, it's your meeting, by assuming if you open it up for new business and discuss it, and once you post it, every advocate who's for marijuana and who's against marijuana is going to fill your council chambers, and you're just going to be bogged down with, it's good, it's not good. It's good, it's not good. If you want to do that, that's up to you.
I think we don't have enough information. I mean, it's a state decision, so, I think we should.
I agree. I think we wait for its
Kinda
time.
wait.
Let's
I
face it,
think
like,
so.
look at the issues we have. We're talking about traffic. We're talking about planning and development. We're talking about protecting tenants' rights. We got a lot of issues on the table right now.
So to add one more.
Let's not distract from our core business.
Yeah, I mean.
I agree.
The only
Time to study the budget.
The only thing I will say is that what this
Budget's
does is it advocates opposing it. So what you're doing by passing something like this is you're showing some leadership opposing the law. So what you're saying, what I think I hear you saying, is that the law is going to pass anyway.
Well, we don't know that.
No.
Nobody knows that.
In all fairness, all we're
So
saying
what this does is
don't-
it goes down to Trenton saying that this governing body opposes it and doesn't want it to pass.
I'll
So-
plead with
There's
you.
no law.
I don't think the debate should be here. I think the debate is going to have its forum. It's going to have a
Well,
proper
I'm going to
forum.
politely agree to disagree. I think we would show a lot of leadership by saying we oppose it here in the county seat of Morris, and that.
But I don't
that
know, to all fairness of.
Parsippany did, they're the
council
largest
members.
municipality, and they issued this.
Right,
It
but I don't
passed
know
3 to.
If all council members are there yet, where they're ready to even make an informed
They all- was it
decision or
unanimous?
have that type of discussion, because I mean.
Well,
there's
did
still a lot-
everybody read this? Because it was pretty interesting and telling to me.
Was it
how
unanimous?
serious-
Was it unanimous in Parsippany?
I think it was unanimous, but I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Not sure.
The one from Parsippany
I don't want to
vote?
say,
I mean,
but that doesn't matter.
NECA.
It passed.
I'm sorry?
Can I have a
It
copy of
passed.
that? I didn't see it at the table.
Here,
All right,
you can
so,
have
I
it.
mean,
You can have mine.
I think that we should just wait till.
Got it.
It's in the correspondence at the end.
Yeah, at the end.
Let's go.
Okay.
But I'd like to make a motion to close.
A second.
Done.
Meeting adjourned.
All in favor? Opposed?